Hello and welcome to Evolve Pipedrive Podcast. We talk all things Pipedrive, sales, apps, and the Pipedrive marketplace. My name is Bruce Bigelow. I'm the owner of Evolve. We are a technology company based in the UK, working globally, helping businesses get more out of Pipedrive through implementation, consultancy, and training. Today, I have the great pleasure to be joined by Pablo Gallego, the account executive at Mailshake. Mailshake is a sales engagement tool that helps your emails land in the inbox and not in spam. I'm really looking forward to this conversation for a couple of reasons with Pablo. One, because he's been working in the SaaS space since 2019 and was a founding member of their outbound efforts at Mailshake. He has his own podcast, Mind Your Own Business, where he speaks with entrepreneurs, sales leaders, business owners, and authors, asking questions around how to create an irresistible workplace with actionable activities any team can implement today. I would encourage you to check it out after this. The intro is great on its own and reminds me of CoffeeZilla. I don't know if you know of CoffeeZilla as the podcaster. An episode of note would be why company culture is not your company's responsibility and how to fix it, from Paul Pelletier. He's also working on his first book, How to Create an Irresistible Workplace, and is working on creating the very first company culture marketplace called Lustermind. So, without further ado, welcome, Pablo, and please can you introduce yourself and Mailshake to our audience?
Thank you, Bruce, for having me here for the best intro I've heard in my life. Uh, I'm an account executive at Mailshake, and I also have my side projects, as you said. My job at Mailshake is to as an account executive is to talk to prospects or people who are interested in purchasing our software, show them the value of it according to their specific needs, which is part of the job, which is get their needs at their core, and then helping them um, find the right solution to them to those needs. Mailshake, on that same note, it's a sales engagement platform, so it's a software
Mm.
that will help you um, prospect or have an outbound effort that's efficient and that will get you leads, that will give you prospects and people interested in your services so you can grow your business. The way to do it is with a multi-channel approach, so email, phone, social selling, or LinkedIn are the channels we support in our platform.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a solopreneur that want to grow, or if you're a consolidated software and you want to put that top of funnel, what we call, which is those initial conversations, on autopilot, then you can use a system such as Mailshake. And then once people engage with the content, you can just, as an account executive for your business or for your company, then help them, decide and go with your own business. So convenient for sales teams that want to expand at scale. But then you touched the point very important, Bruce, which is being mindful of the delivery of the emails or deliverability of the emails, which is becoming a very strict part of any email service provider, call it Google or Microsoft or GoDaddy or anyone really, um, because they're very strict when it comes to getting unknown messages or unwanted messages in your inbox. Their goal is to keep your inboxes safe. And my inbox is safe. And I prefer that, to be honest. Uh, 10, 15 years ago, you would get an email from virtually anyone who had your email address out of the blue. And some people took advantage of that and they would spam, or they wouldn't even, do evil deeds via email. And people would, would this, yeah, um,
I
it was
mean,
bad. And
it's such a good point in terms of how the market and the software has kind of grown up, right? You know, from there's Gary Vee used to say that marketeers ruining everything, and email was obviously one of them. There was a time when everyone read every single email that they had. I now don't even check my personal emails, and I use it as a search inbox. Basically, I search for something if I need to find it. The only emails inbox that I do check regularly is my personal, sorry, my work accounts, and all my work ones basically. But my personal, I just use it as a search function. Um, but let's go back to, you said something there about how you use it. So how's your team set up? So obviously, as an account exec, how do you use not just Mailshake, but how's the team structured in such a way that leads are sent to you, and what's the kind of size of the business right now? Where are you all based? Just kind of paint a picture of Mailshake.
Yeah, so great starting point. So Mailshake is a company. It's an American company, that's based in Austin, Texas. The size of the company to this day is that less than 50 employees, so 46 currently. We're rapidly growing. Um, we're gaining market share, so we need to expand the team, especially in the product size, so we can just make it better to compete in the market. Um, and yeah, our ideal ICP or ideal customer profile is companies that are in software or any other industry that prospect. So we use Mailshake, of course. We have the blessing of use our own tool day in and out to go out there and acquire new business.
Hmm.
So the way our team works is we have a group of SDRs or sales development representatives. Those are people who call prospects or send emails to prospects or send LinkedIn connection requests and messages to prospects in the hopes of getting a meeting. In that meeting, it will be me, the account executive, who takes the meeting, uh, understands the person's pain, and then tries to solve it with our tool. So, and that sales team is led by our sales leadership, and we use it in tandem with Pipedrive. That's actually our CRM,
Nice.
and our dialer is included in Mailshake, and the email outreach technology is also included there. So we rely only on those two tools. The workflow is we put prospects into a Mailshake campaign. Once they engage with that, is the SDR's job to create a deal in Pipedrive and notifying me. This is all
Hmm.
automated,
Yeah.
like that piece. And then once I have them in my CRM Pipedrive, then I can just move them from stage to stage depending where they're at. Um, Part of the strategy of Mailchimp is to send emails, get notified when they open, click, and they show some interest in our value offer
Hmm.
to call them. The likelihood of booking meetings is better if we do it that way, and that's our approach. That in tandem with very high personalization when it comes to emails, not templated emails, very personalized and relevant emails that are according to today's rules, especially for deliverability, and then having a LinkedIn interaction as well. So it's not just like sending a connection request and pitching something in the first message. It's connecting, engaging, and this can all be done within Mailshake, by the way. So connecting, engaging, and eventually starting a conversation via LinkedIn, just to see if they would potentially be interested in these services. The relevance of this is that when people see you on LinkedIn, they saw your voicemail if they didn't pick up the phone, they see your emails, then the trust wall goes down and they will be open to have a conversation about you versus just sending just an email or just calling someone out of the blue because they don't know you. And
Yeah.
so that's the reason of the multi-channel approach, all of which can be done in Mailchimp, and all that's our process here.
Yeah, so I like that. So obviously, so you've got your SDRs, and from the AE side, you're probably working a lot more within Pipedrive. There's two things I want to kind of dig into there. So one was something you said about the changing email, the kind of you don't use templates because you want to keep it personal, and because of changing email regulations and things like that. So something I've seen recently is the kind of the length of a subject line. So don't use questions, don't use people's first names, don't use keep it to 2 to 3 words. I mean, do you have any research, or it could be actual research that the company's done, or just kind of indicative research that you've found from a deliverability standpoint, and open rates?
Yeah, we do have extensive research in our website. You can find a ton of articles that talk about especially that's one of them, which is the length of the subject line.
Mm.
Many people see their emails in their phones. They're on the go or they're out. If you have a very lengthy subject line, it wouldn't fit in the screen. And then again, thinking about their experience and their trust, they would just scroll.
Mm.
So, and this company called Lavender as well, which is a software that's pretty
Email
amazing
wizards, you
software.
could call them.
Email wizards, yeah, everybody knows them by now, I think. They also talk about this and how if you keep it short and simple, straight to the point, not only is better for from a deliverability standpoint, but it also converts better once they
Mm.
hit the inbox, because it's easier to read, is it's clean on the eye, and they just saw it on their phones, and their mobile phones, which is very practical. On that same note, though, I just want to touch base on deliverability itself. Deliverability is not only the copywriting piece, and here's where what many people gets it wrong. It's not just changing a subject line or having fewer URL or links in
Mm.
your emails, which is true. That's something you should do. But way before that, you need to have certain things in place. So you need to warm up your email inboxes. Warming up means that you want to build a good reputation in the eyes of Google and Microsoft or any other SMTP, so they don't think you're suspicious. You want to build that reputation. It takes a couple of months. You have ways with an AI system to shrink it into days or weeks. We can talk about that. Another thing to do is before you send your emails to clean that data. So you want to clean and and validate those emails so they don't bounce. If they bounce more than 5-10%, the likelihood of you being taken to a blacklist is too high. So it's too
Mm.
risky. You want to, uh, diminish that risk by cleaning your data. And another thing is if you've been in any blacklist, which you can check if you go to websites such as Mail Genius, GlockOps, or Mail Tester, or MX Toolbox. All these free resources online will have an assessment of your domain, so you have a baseline. If you've been in
Mm.
a blacklist, you need to double down on warming up and email deliverable and like keeping your reputation safe. If you haven't, it's also a good idea to still warm up and be mindful of these practices so you can just you can just land in the inbox. Once that's in place, it's a good time to start with a sequencer or a sales engagement tool that can throttle those emails. So it's a mistake to send cold emails using a CRM, let's say,
Mm.
even though you can create sequences, but the whole point of a CRM is customer relationship management. So they're customers. They should be customers, and they're not. They're your prospects. You want them to be your customers, so you can add them into a sequencer in your CRM once they opted in, once they're
Mm.
expecting your emails. Otherwise, it's even in some of the CRMs, it's against their policies to send cold
Mm.
emails for GDPR reasons and whatnot.
Well,
So
Pipedrive's own campaigns won't allow you to. So, yeah, their own
there you go.
campaigns function module won't allow you to send cold emails. It's
There you have it.
yeah,
And the reason why is that because their technology is to send, if you want to send 100 emails, 100 emails will be sent at the same time.
yeah.
And Google and Microsoft, they will know that, they will notice that. And it's impossible for a human being to send 100 emails at the same time.
I can
That's
click really
why
fast,
that fast, we should have a
really fast.
challenge.
You should see me on international track and field on the old PlayStation back in the day. I
Oh,
was
that's a
really
good one.
fast.
um, so because they know it, they know you're using a tool, and they're not very fond of that because again, they want to keep your inboxes clean.
Yeah.
So all that process that I'm telling you, it's not like the sales engagement piece of sending email. Almost any software can send an email, but to send a cold email is a different game. So there's a difference between cold and I just mentioned cold email. I
Yeah.
want to explain the difference between cold and warm email.
Mm.
So warm emails are emails that you send to people that have opted in. the people that went to your website, filled out a form, they're expecting your emails. So for that purpose, tools such as Mailchimp, who's been there for years, marketing tools,
Mm.
newsletters, they're expecting your emails. They want to see your offers. That's good. But then what about people that haven't opted in? Maybe you met them in person, maybe they can, the reply, but technically Google doesn't know that. So technically speaking, they haven't opted in, so that's cold.
Mm.
So for those, you need to have a different set of rules. Throttling the emails, sending them every 5 minutes in a system, having an AI help you with text replacements and whatnot, ideally A/B test, and then yes, be mindful of the length of the subject line, not using too many links because every link is a piece of code. The heavier the code it is, the more suspicious you become
Yeah.
because that's what spammers used to do back in the day. So being very like strategic about it is the best way to go. If that's the route you want to do, if you're new, then new or not, I would suggest you delegate that and you reach out to a vendor that's done this, someone like an expert who
Yeah.
knows how to send cold emails and ask them about deliverability. The main reason of why this matters is because if you are doing it wrong, your reputation is at stake. And by reputation, I mean your website, which is your
Hmm.
name online. We've had customers that had to change the name of the business because they were so deep into the blacklist that they got blocked so often that eventually they just had to change the name of the business.
Yeah.
And well, that's just awful. So because they don't trust you anymore. Like we talked about the credit score,
Yeah.
and it would be like having the credit score so low that no one trusts you anymore and no one will give you money, and maybe you have money and maybe you changed, but they don't know that, and you need to build that reputation.
Yeah.
So the reason why deliverability is important is because you don't want to crash your car. You want also to get results but keeping your name safe and clean, because yeah, you don't want any dooms, like catastrophic scenarios to happen to your business.
Yeah.
So it's
So,
very,
so,
very
so
delicate.
for those that so the credit score Pablo was talking about there was like a domain credit score, right? So when you talk about this, it just makes me feel like it's like a before you meet your wife, you don't ask someone to become your wife on the first time you meet them. You have to build trust and authority, make sure you're a good person, all those things like that. So there are some steps to take before you um, do the leap there. But um, on Mailshake, what's the because obviously it integrates natively with Pipedrive, and I mean, did we touch upon the development house? Are the development house based in the US? Obviously, you've got customers all over the world, but what's the kind of size of that dev team, and what's that roadmap look like?
Yeah, so the dev team currently, so we have people, we're remote first,
Yeah.
so we have people all over the place. Our dev team is mainly based in the US.
Hmm.
We also have some team members in Turkey and Pakistan,
Hmm.
but the majority of it, I would say 80% of our team is based in Austin, Texas. Actually, just the city, not just the US, but the
Hmm.
city of Austin. Um, yeah, the roadmap is to increase that number, to grow that number as we grow, because in the market we're in is very crowded as you can imagine, like sales engagement. And the thing is that we have big names to compete with, that we need to be like so our value offer, our differentiator is deliverability,
Mm.
is how to get in the inbox so you can book more meetings, versus flashy integrations and AI that are great, but the base of that is just to get into the inbox of people so you can book those meetings, so you can bring that revenue in, and
Yeah.
then you can build on top of that. So that's our value offer. We have the technology for that. However, there are certain other companies that have a bigger name out there. And so we need to compete and be, at the top of our game always to yeah to be in the market, to keep growing.
I think that's a really key. But you can. A friend of mine used to say, you can roll a shit in glitter, but it's still a piece of shit, right? And I'm not
Yeah,
saying that adding AI to a software that has poor deliverability makes it poo, but there is a case here. If you're going to be using a sales engagement platform that with email at the core of that multi outreach omni-channel experience, you want to make sure that your emails are getting in the inbox. It's a pretty key piece of the puzzle there.
it's pretty basic. So,
Yeah.
Bruce, let's say, what's your dream country to visit?
My dream country to visit: Antarctica.
Antarctica. Okay. What do you think? Let's say you book the tickets. What do you think is the first thing you need to do when going to Antarctica?
Get some warmer clothes.
Well, that's in that case, yeah. I was looking for accommodation to be like the
Mm,
first thing you, besides the ticket, of course, how to get there,
yeah.
but then where are you going? Like if you can go there, you can. I'm sorry, like the first thing to do is knowing how to get there. The ticket, the plane, and the accommodation, and then you can talk about, yeah, let's book a tour guide for this. Let's watch some penguins, or I don't really know what's happening in Antarctica, but
I don't think there's too much there. I've just always thought it'd be fascinating to go.
yeah, yeah, no, you got me with that example, but
Sorry.
but you get the point. Like the first thing is just to get there. Once you're in there, in the door, then everything else like follows, but you can build on top of that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So, in terms of, you said that you guys use Pipedrive internally. Obviously, the two systems do integrate natively. So, how easy is it to install? What's the kind of integration process there?
Yeah, that's a great point, because we do use the CRM Pipedrive, and it integrates natively. So you have two-way native integration. So if you want to build sequences and cadences, multi-channel touch points in Mailshake, you can just add your leads into Pipedrive. Mailshake will pull those leads, operate on autopilot, and then push them back once they engage with the content. That's one way to go about it. The other way is to upload them directly into Mailshake as a pre-screening software. And once they do engage, you can just create deals, qualified deals in Pipedrive, and you can still have the automation there. So integration takes 5 minutes. You need to have the admin access. You just
Yeah.
connect with the tool, grant access to it, and then when you create the campaigns in Mailshake, have the specific campaign at Mailshake to match the list of leads or the deal stage or whatever it is you have in Pipedrive to for them to communicate effectively, and then you don't have any mistakes in there. But it's very easy.
Yeah, so we'll have a links in the description below for the demo of this as well, and you can obviously get your own personal demo as well. But uh, I have seen this, and there's some nice kind of sequencing where you move a deal to a specific stage, and then it has its own sequencing once it reaches that stage, right? So if it so there's a whole lead scoring piece. So if they open it multiple times, it might fast track to a different stage. So it's a really nice integration. But yeah, so we'll have links in the description below, and or just get your own personal demo as well from the guys there. Um, so I kind of want to touch a little bit more about yourself here, right? So what was your story? How did you end up being starting the outbound AE program at Mailshake? And so how did you start it, and how's it going? And what's your plan with the I love the whole idea of Lustermind. Where did that come from, and what's that kind of driving force behind great company culture? Is it because you guys are remote first, and this is kind of you felt some experiences, some pains there? Um, as a business owner that's building a business with a remote team, I'd be really interested to hear what you've got to say there.
Yeah, so that's the tough one, which is to talk about yourself. When I get these
Mhm.
questions, it's kind of the
Well,
the rough.
let's
The
let's call the person that's going to answer this question Jason. So what would a new person?
Jason, like I'm Doctor, like Jekyll and Mr. Hyde
Is
here.
that it? Yeah.
No, so well, I started in sales as an SDR. I think so. An SDR is sales development representative. It's someone who's reaching out to people in the hopes of getting conversations. Those conversations are being pushed to someone else in the team for them to close and bring revenue to the company. So that initial conversation, we call it top of funnel, which is having a, like if you think about a funnel, everybody's in here, your ICP, your ideal customer profile, and then the top of the funnel is to close them. So I started as an SDR in a different company that for 2 years. I think almost everyone who's in sales starts as an SDR.
Hmm.
The role of an SDR is to cold call people, cold email people, again in the hopes of getting conversations. So it's not the easiest job in the world, but I started to like sales and just like the psychology of it, and just like influencing, but not without manipulation, but influencing, and just like how to have a better communication with people. Then I started working at Mailshake as a inbound rep. So
Mhm.
people that went to the, like you, if you want to go and book a demo at Mailshake, you simply go to mailshake.com and book a demo. By doing that, you are an inbound lead for Mailshake. It means that the lead came to Mailshake, not the other way around.
Mhm.
Um, so I started doing demos and solving people's need, crafted the art of discovery, discovering people's needs and pains in order to solve them with the software. And then at some point we wanted to go up market, so we built the outbound team. I was a founding member of the outbound team. There was a time of restructuring, like not restructuring, structuring from scratch that department, what it means, who's our ICP, what's our message, how are we going to do this, all those fun and challenging questions had to be solved, and now we're in a place where the growth is just substantial and steady. um, as far as the my side project, the Mastermind, I am a very so I was diagnosed with depression many years ago.
Mhm.
Not to have a sad tone, that's behind me now.
Yeah.
Hopefully, not hopefully, gladly. But that had me like I was thinking about some things in the back of my mind of how to be happier, what it means to be happy, what's fulfillment like. I had a good job, I had a steady income. Why I'm not fulfilled?
Mm.
So all these questions came to my mind, came to realize that a lot of people are thinking alike, so they're thinking the same way, of depression, anxiety, burnout. They are very real, and they have to do with the workspace that you're in. So, and the reason why I tackle the workspace is because nowadays millennials, we think about religious institutions. They're not as strong as they used to be. Think about spiritualities. They're not as strong. Communities where everything is digital now. Even this conversation, that's great, but it's not the same. Oh, I would
Mm.
prefer for us to have a real actual cup of coffee right now next to each other, um, so those things are eroding kind of, but the one thing we cannot escape from is our jobs, is work. We have to work. Everybody does if they want to survive. So if I focus on the well-being of someone's mental health at work, then the rest will follow. At
Mm.
least I did that part. And that comes with culture, leadership, and your surrounding, the environment you're in. So this happened way before I started Mailshake. It was always something and I've been passionate about. So
Mm.
I like to talk about and read a lot about leadership, what it means to have a great team leader, what it looks like, what's a good company culture. Besides the money piece, what actually makes a great team great. And you can
Mm.
take a look at sports, like theater groups, even like countries, how they develop themselves. Any team that you can measure, they all leave traits, and those traits are tracked. And my goal is to have that knowledge and apply it to any team today, so they can just thrive as teams, because that would therefore bring happiness to them. They won't suffer from anxiety, burnout, or depression,
Mm.
and they will be fulfilled. And then they can just take care of, the significant other and their kids. I don't want to deal with that, like, for them, but I can
Yeah.
help with the job piece. So that's kind of my journey. Of course, as life, there's a lot of details that I left out, but in short, I don't want to bore people with this story.
Well, no, thank you for sharing. I don't think people would be bored, and I would, from my side, when I was doing my research for the school, I wanted to hear it kind of firsthand, how it came to be, and I'll certainly still consider, I will still follow this journey and as it builds out, and um, because I think it is so important, and something was, we are touching on a new phase of work, meaning, like, what it, all those things, the intersection of all of those pieces. Community, what the hell is a community if you don't go out and visit your friends anymore? So um, yeah, I think it's really, really important, and yeah, I look forward to seeing what comes next with it. So
Thank you.
before we sign off, I've got a couple of quick fire questions, but they can be long form answers, right? So quick fire questions and long form answers. Um, with Mailshake, what's your favorite use case that you've seen someone use? It might be yourself or internally or someone else that's used it.
um, I want to say two companies, ClickUp and Leadable.
Mm.
Um, One of them is an agency, one of them is a software. The agency can is using Mailchimp on behalf of others, putting everything on autopilot, and they grew the agency very big, and they have a happy relationship with their customers because they can just delegate everything to their
Mm.
clients to the agency, and the agency can get results with Mailshake, and then all the three of us is like we're growing together. So I think that's
Mm.
great. ClickUp is more like the traditional um, uh, customer. Let's say it's not an agency, so it's a software, and that helped grew their first 100 customers um, with Mailshake, which which is great because the initial customers are harder to get. Once you run out of friends and referrals, then you actually need to sell. And
Mm.
so those initial 100 is critical for them and any business. So I want to say those two. I can share the links of where you can find
Really
their
awesome.
information.
And what would you say for top tips for those getting started with Mailshake? For those getting started, and then for those that are looking to really excel. Um, Someone that might have been using it for 6 months or so, but they want to excel in with the platform.
Yeah. So if you're absolutely new, I would say start with the warm up your accounts so you don't get into trouble, and then once you have a warm up, you can tackle the DMARC situation, and then have an expert onboard you into Mailchimp or any sales engagement for that matter. But Mailchimp is good. And once you have that in there, have them help you by creating the sequences and the copywriting itself. If you are already doing it, then I would say assess your domain just to see where you are. If you're in blacklist, how good or bad your reputation is at the moment. If it's bad, then reach out. If it's not so bad, then still have a like if it's not bad, then you're in good shape. But if it's bad, then I would say reach out to the team of experts. Again, Maoshi can help with that. Fix your deliverability first, otherwise you just won't get results. It's going to be very difficult. And then the thing is that the company next to you, maybe they are focusing on deliverability, and maybe they're gaining market share because of that. So you want to catch up. You want to assess the health of your domain, see if everything's in check. If that's the case, then you're good to go. If not, reach out. We can help with that, and then you'll be on the right track.
And for a seasoned pro that wants to get more out of it, what would you say there?
For a season pro, yeah, I mean, we all need to be landing in the inbox. Email
Mm.
is the preferred way of communication for so many people. You always want to be seen, even if you're in marketing. customer success, or even a newsletter or anything you have, even internal communications, you always want to have that good reputation so you hit the inbox of others. Um, so even then, I would say same thing.
Mm,
Deliverability is gonna be key, especially in 2023, 2024. Google has cracked down their efforts. The walls. I mean, they're very strict. Microsoft will follow
mm.
because they go hand in hand when it comes to security policies. It's becoming very difficult to reach out to people's inbox more than ever. So especially now, especially if you're big and you want to stay big, then and if you use email, so everybody, so I would say focus on deliverability as well.
Yeah, there was something you mentioned earlier about the difference between a cold email and email. That there is a difference, right? So,
Yeah.
and at the heart of that is deliverability. So, um, as a business and as a person that uses Pipedrive, we know that Pipedrive listen to the podcast. Are there any feature requests that you would like to see in the platform?
Yeah, so we are always working on our integrations. So
Mm.
on our roadmap is the integration that in which you can actually connect the tasks,
Nice.
Pipedrive tasks with Mailshake tasks as well. So the workflow will be absolutely seamless. At
Hmm.
this point, you would need to create the sequences in Mailshake. There are still some clicking between the
Hmm.
two. It's nothing crazy, but we actually want to help Pipedrive users to just don't worry about it because the system are helping you with it.
Yeah,
So that's kind of the future of that integration.
very cool. Um, and is there anything that you'd like to say before we? I know there's something that you told me before that I'll say if you don't mention it here. But is there anything in particular you'd like to cover before we sign off today?
Um, I think we covered everything, Bruce. To be honest, delighted to
So
be
what
here.
what I wanted to say then was the for anyone that's listening to this, we will have links in the description below to get your own personal demo. But also the guys at Mailshake have been kind enough to offer a double um, money back guarantee. Was it from 30 days to 60 days? Um,
Exactly.
yeah,
So if you were to try Mailshake, you have a 1 month money back guarantee. For listeners here, they can reach out to me. I'll have the links in the show notes.
yeah,
And you'll have 60 days as a money back instead of 30 days. In 60 days, you can just try integrations, even get some results. The tool can pay for itself, and then you still have time to have a money back if it doesn't work. We don't ask why. So if you simply don't like it, then you get your money back.
yeah.
So that buffer of 2 months is there for you.
Nice. No, much appreciated. So that's it for this week. Thank you for listening to Evolve Pipe Drive podcast, where we talk all things Pipe Drive sales, apps, and Pipe Drive marketplace. At Evolve, we're a technology consultancy based in the UK, working globally, helping people that are on Pipedrive get more from the system and their wider tech stack through implementation, consultancy, and training. If you found this insightful, please let us know what you think in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, or share with someone you think will find this useful. We value all of your feedback. Pablo, thank you.
Thank you so much, Bruce. It's been a pleasure to be here.